Aaron Dykes here for TrueStreamMedia.com. Now, I want to continue to cover some of the olds, the things that have already happened previously in history that are important to talk about. One of them is Bertrand Russell's The Impact of Science on Society. He's one of these leading technocrat figures, definitely a representative of the oligarchy, of those shaping the world government. He's a reputed genius, supposedly has a gigantic IQ, a mathematician, a one-time president of the Royal Society of Science, who are very influential. He's a eugenicist, and he's really just one of those thinkers who's been talking about the system they want to bring into view. And some of the questions he raises are damning and they're compelling, and until we deal with them, we're not really going to be dealing with the real issues of society. And of course I want to come back to this book later to analyze more of it, but just for right now, let's read a really short passage on page 26 from The Impact of Society on Science, 1951 book, just a few years after the atomic bomb, after seeing all these governments centralize in Europe during World War II, Russia becoming Sovietized, and the United States also becoming more and more collective all the time. Communications have been hitherto the chief factor limiting the size of empires. In antiquity, the Persians and the Romans depended on roads, but since nothing traveled faster than a horse, empires became unmanageable when the distance from the capital to the frontier was very great. This difficulty was diminished by railways and the telegraph, and is on the point of disappearing with the improvement of the long-range bomber. There would now be no technical difficulty about a single worldwide empire. Since war is likely to become more destructive of human life than it has been in recent centuries, unification under a single government is probably necessary, unless we are to acquiesce in either a return to barbarism or the extinction of the human race. So there we see the implied nuclear threat, that basically if we don't have a worldwide empire, a unification under a single government, we likely face extinction or a return to barbarism. There is, it must be confessed, a psychological difficulty about a single world government. The chief source of social cohesion in the past, I repeat, has been war. The passions that inspire a feeling of unity are hate and fear. These depend on the existence of an enemy, actual or potential. It seems to follow that world government can only be kept in being by force, not by the spontaneous loyalty that now inspires a nation at war. I'll return to this at a later stage. So we see specifically mentioned the existence of an enemy, actual or potential, leading to a single world government, and the threat that the extinction of the human race is at hand because of the threat of war, lest we form a worldwide empire, a single government, a single world government. Just on this one page, he raises immense questions about really this ultimatum that's been put to us, that because of the threat of nuclear war, because of the scale of war of World War II, of world powers clashing, basically we must submit to a world government. And in particular, we see this discussion of the larger enemy, what they call the external enemy, a scapegoat enemy that's used to unite societies, empires, in this case, the emerging world government. And we've seen it talked about over and over from luminaries like Zbigniew Brzezinski or Henry Kissinger, the need for a uniting external enemy. And Brzezinski in particular wrote about it in his Grand Chessboard circa 1999, just a couple years before 9/11, and the threat of Al-Qaeda, the threat of bin Laden, the boogeyman, was used to unite everyone behind the war on terror. And they're talking about something even greater in the impact of science on society, the concentration of powers in the technological realms and into increasingly concentrated political circles, leading towards a world government. There's a lot more in this book that's very compelling. I'll just leave you with that one short passage. Signing off for TrueStreamMedia.com. We'll continue to analyze history and cover what's important in the news and raise issues so we can get through this together. Stay tuned. Bye.